Update 3. My brother stole my 8K life setup. I caught him on camera. When I confronted him, my parents took his side and called me selfish. So, I served them eviction papers and pressed charges. Now, they're begging me for mercy. Sup, Reddit? Yeah, just had a weird tech issue today. I stretched, playing it casual. Tried to access my home computer remotely and got nothing. Dead connection. Matthew cleared his throat. Oh. That sucks, right? Thing is, I could have sworn I left everything running this morning. I looked directly at him. You've been messing around in my office today. Me? No. Why would I? Power might have gone out, Dad interrupted, not looking up from his phone. Happens sometimes. I nodded slowly. Guess I should go take a look. Probably just Windows being Windows, Matthew said quickly. You know how it randomly updates. It's not Windows, but thanks. I was already moving toward the hallway. Back in a sec. I walked to my office. The empty desk spoke volumes, bare surface where my monitors used to be, vacant spots where my tower and peripherals once lived. Walking back to the living room, I kept my voice level. So, my entire setup's gone. Dead silence. You could have heard a pin drop. Gone? Mom's voice cracked slightly. Yep. Matthew jumped up like his ass was on fire. What? That's insane. Someone broke in? Oh my god. Mom gasped, hand flying to her chest. Should we call 911? Dad was suddenly very interested, looking around like he was checking windows. Did they take anything else? TV's still here. The performance was almost insulting. They'd clearly rehearsed this, underscore. I pulled out my phone. Actually, let's see what the camera caught. Matthew went white. Camera? Security cameras. The system I installed 8 months ago. I opened the app and there it was in glorious 4K, Matthew dismantling my entire setup like he was a professional moving company. I turned the screen toward the room. The silence stretched for about 5 seconds before all hell broke loose. I was going to ask, Matthew blurted out. You left early and I thought. You thought you'd help yourself to $8,000 worth of my stuff. It's not stealing. Jesus, Sebastian, I live here, too. Mom jumped in with her usual, underscore. He probably just wanted to try it out, honey. You know how boys are with computers. Boys? He's 25 years old. This is ridiculous, Dad muttered. It's not like he sold it or something. That's when I hit them with the nuclear option. Actually, Dad, that's exactly what he did. I pulled up more footage on my phone. This is from 3 hours ago. The second video showed Matthew loading everything into his car and driving away. But I did some additional research during my drive home. Matthew, want to explain why your car was parked at Cash Converters on South Lamar for 2 hours this afternoon? His face went gray, busted. I also called them. Funny thing, they remember a guy matching your description selling a high-end computer setup for $3,200 cash. The room exploded. Mom started crying. Dad started shouting. Matthew tried to run to his room, but I blocked the hallway. Sit your ass down. We're not done talking. I can get it back, he pleaded. I'll buy it all back. With what money? You just sold it for less than half what it's worth, you, underscore. That's when I realized they all knew, the coordinated story, the fake surprise, the immediate deflection. They discussed this beforehand. Wait, I said, connecting the dots. You all knew about this. More silence. Are you, underscore, kidding me? You helped him plan this? Dad finally showed some backbone. Now hold on. No, you hold on. Did you or did you not know Matthew was planning to steal and sell my computer? We didn't help him steal anything, Mom said defensively. We just thought maybe if you saw how much he needed the money. If what? If you ambushed me with a united front to make me accept getting robbed? Grandpa Francis finally spoke up from his chair. When I was his age, taking something that wasn't mine got me a belt across the ass and a trip to the police station. This is different, Francis, Dad snapped. Times have changed. Matthew was looking between us like a tennis match, realizing his support system was crumbling. Can everyone just chill? I'll figure out how to get the money back. You'll figure it out? You sold professional equipment worth $8,000 for $3,200 because you're too stupid to know what you stole. I said I'd figure it out. After you got caught on camera, after you sold my stuff, after you lied to my face. Whatever, dude. You're being dramatic. You know what? You're right. I am being dramatic. I walked to my desk and pulled out a folder I'd prepared weeks earlier, but hoped I'd never have to use. Matthew, Mom, Dad, consider this your official 30-day notice to vacate the premises. I handed each of them a formal eviction notice, properly formatted and legally binding. Dad's face went purple. What the hell? You can't evict us. This is family. Actually, I can and I am. You've been living here as tenants at will for 18 months. Texas law requires 30 days written notice, which you now have. Mom started hyperventilating. You're throwing your own family out on the street. No, I'm throwing 3 adults who don't pay rent, don't contribute to household expenses, and just helped orchestrate the theft of my property out of my house. The next hour was pure chaos, shouting, crying, threats, and manipulation that would make a cult leader proud. But I held firm. When the dust settled, I made one final announcement. Just so we're clear, I'm also calling the police, and I'm pressing charges. You're going to call the cops on your own brother? Dad exploded. Over felony theft? Absolutely. The responding officers arrived about 90 minutes later, professional, thorough, and completely unimpressed by my parents' attempts to downplay what happened. The lead investigator was a veteran who'd clearly seen this type of family drama before. When I explained the situation, he just nodded and asked to see the security footage. Clear as day, he said after reviewing the clips. This isn't a family dispute. This is felony theft with video evidence. When I showed them the receipts proving the equipment was worth over $8,000 and explained that it had been sold for $3,200, they confirmed this was felony territory, third-degree felony theft carrying 2 to 10 years in prison. Did you have permission to take this equipment? He asked Matthew directly.
I live here, Matthew stammered.
That's not what I asked. Did your brother give you permission to take his computer equipment? Silence. Did you sell the equipment for money? Matthew looked at his parents, then back at the officer. Yes. Then you're under arrest for theft of property over $2,500. As they cuffed him and read him his rights, the reality hit everyone at once. This wasn't going away. Matthew had committed a serious felony, and now the full weight of the criminal justice system was about to land on his ass. Sebastian, please, Matthew begged as they walked him toward the patrol car. Don't do this. I'll pay you back everything. I replied calmly. You sold $8,000 worth of equipment for $3,200 and probably spent it already. I'll get a job. I'll do anything. Too late for that, brother. One of the officers handed me a case number and explained the next steps. There'd be a preliminary hearing within 72 hours and the DA's office would be in touch about my witness testimony. After they drove away with Matthew in the back seat, my parents turned on me with pure hatred. How could you do this to your own brother? Dad spat. Easy. He stole from me and sold my equipment. Actions have consequences. But prison, Mom wailed. He'll have a criminal record. Yes, he will. That's what happens when you commit felonies. Our grandpa Francis spoke up from his chair. Boy made his bed. Now he gets to lie in it. The next 72 hours were a masterclass in watching entitled people discover that the real world doesn't give about your feelings. My parents spent their time calling lawyers they couldn't afford, researching bail bondsmen, and trying to figure out how to minimize the damage. Every conversation ended with them trying to guilt me into dropping the charges. The preliminary hearing was exactly as brutal as I'd hoped. Matthew shuffled into the courtroom wearing an orange jumpsuit, looking like he hadn't slept in 3 days. His court-appointed attorney had clearly explained the reality of the situation. When you're caught on camera stealing and selling over $8,000 worth of equipment, there's not much room for creative legal defense. The prosecutor laid out the case with surgical precision, clear video evidence, documented property values, proof of sale. It took her exactly 15 minutes to demonstrate that Matthew was guilty as sin. The defense attorney tried to argue that this was a family misunderstanding and that Matthew had intended to return the equipment. The prosecutor demolished that argument by pointing out that you can't return something you've already sold for cash.